Thank you. I'm here. Hi. Thank you. I heard the sound come up. Wow, what a field to enter into with Darlene's song release. I'm so grateful. You've just set the stage. It's so palpable. I'm sure you all can feel that. So I'm grateful to be with you. I understand that the theme this month is uncovering your authentic self. Uncovering your authentic self. I think that perhaps that is one of the purposes in this life, right? We come in and it's about figuring out, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Who am I truly? When you take off all the masks and facades and defenses and everything, like what's left, right? And I believe that we get a sense of who we are truly with little sweet knocks at the door, little opportunities like breadcrumbs that come along our path. You know, you hear a gorgeous song like that and something unravels and maybe you get the slightest glimmer of like, oh, that's who I am. That's a part of me. You know, maybe you can get a little knock at the door through a workshop. There are great workshops today, I understand. Or a class, or a Sunday morning talk, or a book, or something. We have these opportunities available every day, fountaining over every day, to get a greater sense of who am I, why am I here. And what I've learned is if you don't answer the little knocks, y'all know this, what happens to the knocks? They get louder. Yes? And they get louder, and they get louder, and eventually the whole front door comes crashing down, right? So 7 months ago, my front door came crashing down. Because 7 months ago, I woke up to find that it was raining inside my house. Not outside, you heard it right, inside my house. Somehow, a teeny tiny pipe carrying boiling hot water burst in the night. And all night long, covertly gushed hot water inside walls, spreading throughout the entire second floor, which then seeped down into the ceiling of the first floor, melting everything in its path. By 6 o'clock in the morning, my house was destroyed. Life changed on a dime, on a dime. I will tell you something, that is one way to figure out what your authentic self is when everything else gets stripped away. So I am here so you don't have to have that. I have 3 tools that I want to share with you today, 3 keys on uncovering who you are, building up an internal infrastructure that will guide you along your path so you can get the little knocks at the door and you don't have to let a flood come passing by, okay? That's a good deal, right? So the first tool is to get a sense of what your go-to response is. What is your go-to response when faced with a challenge? Not necessarily a massive flood, but when things just don't happen the way that you thought that they would. What's your automatic response? Do you freeze up? Do you go into battle? Do you melt down? Do you wage war? What's your thing? We all have a thing. But usually it's unconscious, but it doesn't have to be. And if you become consciously aware of your go-to response system, then when you are faced with a challenge, if your go-to response is working, great. If it's not, you can pick up your go-to and go someplace else with it. That's what I had to do after the flood experience. I'll get back to that. I have a girlfriend of mine. She said that she experienced her divorce proceedings from the ceiling of the divorce attorney's office. Because in her case, the whole thing was way the heck too much, and her go-to response was to dissociate. She had to check out. So she said she literally felt like she was way up, kind of bouncing around up against the ceiling of the attorney's office, and she could see herself down below, sitting there, legs crossed politely, just sort of numbly watching what was going on. She saw the attorneys in their freshly pressed suits and shiny shoes, divvying up pieces of her life. And then she looked at that man to whom she had given her youth and her beauty and her childbearing years to, who all of a sudden woke up one day and decided, just not that into her anymore. Not that into her. And for her, too much. She had to check out. That was her go-to response. In my case, my usual go-to response system when I'm faced with a challenge, the usual way I handle it is I kind of circle up like a puppy dog and get into a real tight ball on the floor and weep softly. So that's my usual go-to response system. But on the morning of the flood, I couldn't do that because everything was soaking wet. I also became immediately aware of little hands clinging to the back of my nightrobe. So I did what any of you who have ever been in a childcare role instinctively know how to do. I made it fun. I turned to my son and I said, "Wow, Rue, check it out. It's raining in our house." Okay, quick. Go get every bucket, bowl, pot, and pan you can find and go put it under all the places where the water's pouring in. Quick, go, 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 go. Our go-to response was action. We were handling our business. I went and grabbed every cloth, every rag, every sheet, everything that I could find, and began desperately running, trying to save one beloved item after another, trying to save that which was already ruined. How many times have you done that one? How many times have you found yourself trying so hard, going after something, efforting so much, trying to save something, when it's already over? Whether it is a house or a job or a relationship. Take a moment right now. I love these opportunities when we gather together to be alchemical, an opportunity to really shift something rather than just a voyeur where you come and kind of sit and hang out. We can shift something right now. So take a moment and scan through your life and notice, is there any area of your life where you are currently efforting too much? The cost is too high. You know, like it's going after the health so hard or pushing at it or getting more money or he's got to be my soulmate. Doesn't he know that yet? You know, she has to be that one. Notice if there's any area, and on the exhalation, just kind of let it go. You can let your shoulders come up a little if you want. Let a little sound come out. You can shake out. This is a process. This is something real. You can actually move your energy. We hold things, emotions. They end up living in the body, getting stagnant, and just on a if you can make yourself yawn, it releases all the muscles in the jaw and the neck. Just to let it go. And when you do that, what happens is all those places that are so held, the constriction, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. That's the small ego mind. The small ego mind that thinks it can hand pluck, hand pick. I want this, I want that, I want it to go this way, I want it to go that way. But when you go, you open up for something grander. It's like, how many times have you been in a situation where you're like, okay, it's between choice A or choice B. I don't know which one I should do. If I do A, I should do B, or I should A or do B. And then you take a breath, and all of a sudden Z comes up. Who knew about Z? But it's brilliant, right? So we do this process of letting go, of becoming open and available so that God's message, God's voice, God's guidance can come through. Yes? Yes? So that's the process. And when you let go, then that creates the space for clarity to come in, for some kind of new possibility. For my girlfriend going through the divorce, her clarity showed up 2 years after that time when she was sitting in that attorney's office. It was 2 years later when she found herself sitting poolside at a fabulous resort, drinking a lovely blueberry acai power-building, immunity-boosting smoothie, alongside a very attractive, available, conscious, communicative, loving gentleman. It was then that she got her clarity. And she realized that those years earlier in the attorney's office, looking at her husband who had just suddenly decided he wasn't into her anymore, the truth of the matter is, at that point in their marriage, she just wasn't really that into him anymore either. If she's going to be really honest with herself, the truth of the matter is, at that point, just about everything about that man irritated her. His constant need to breathe every single day, inhaling and exhaling and inhaling and exhaling, drove her crazy. So when her new lover decided to go off and work out, she slipped upstairs to their fancy hotel suite. She sat herself down, and she wrote her ex-husband a thank you note on the fabulous resort stationery. Thank you. Thank you for seeing what I couldn't see. Thank you for doing what I could not, would not do. Thank you for being courageous enough to set us free. May we be better apart than we could have ever been together. May all that was hurt and broken in the wake of our fearful, clinging egos be mended and fully healed now. Fully healed now. May we go on to enjoy fresh new loves, and may we find value in our time shared together. Thank you for the dance. What relationship, whether it is 5 minutes old or 5 decades old, whether with an ex-lover, an ex-partner, an ex-spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, mother, father, sister, brother, co-worker, what relationship must you extend that kind of grace to? What relationship would be so benefited by it, even if you're no longer in contact with them? For your freedom, for your health, for your joy. Bring that person into your mind's eye right now. And if you have a whole Rolodex of folks that could use that kind of love and prayer and grace, bring them all in. Bring them all in. Bring them into your mind's eye right now. We'll make it like a car wash. We'll keep rolling them through. We'll just wash and rinse, and it's for yourself. You know that, right? Even if they were wrong and you were right, even if it hurt, even if it ended poorly, even if it wasn't okay, for your health, for your physical bodily health, let it go. For your prosperity, hard, cold, green cash in the bank, let it go. Let him go. Let her go. Let it all go. We're going to be alchemists today. Do that again. Feel what it feels like. If there is any relationship on the exhalation, just let it go. And I know it's kind of annoying because then you don't get to hang on to the resentment or the anger or the bitterness or the blame. It doesn't become an excuse to get off of what you're meant to do. It means you're going to have to get off your behind and go do your thing, because how many times have you done that? How many times have I done that when I've spent so much time being so focused on how he done me wrong? But if you let it go, that's the wings, that's the space, that's option Z that shows up, right? That's how you get your clarity. That's how my girlfriend got her clarity. For me, my clarity, because that's what happens. When you let it go, when you become open and spacious, that creates space for clarity to come through. That is how my girlfriend got her clarity. In my case, my clarity after the flood, my clarity arrived at 8 o'clock at night on night number 1 of the flood experience. Because at 8 o'clock at night, I go downstairs, I sit on the far right corner of the couch, I put my feet on the coffee table, and I watch TV. That is what I do. So at 8 o'clock at night, first night, I start coming downstairs. Yes, we had been told by countless professionals that we needed to leave the house, but it's my house. Where do you expect me to go? What do you expect me to do? Please. So I start coming downstairs. At that point, we'd had these great big dehumidifier machines. They are genius. They'd been running all day long, so the house looked kind of dry. All my things are still in the house. So I'm thinking, whew, crazy day. Glad it's all done with. My God, what I did not know. So I go downstairs, I go to sit on the couch. Earlier in the day it had been a lake, but it looked sort of dryish. So I put some beach towels down, I sat down. My tush only got slightly damp. And then I propped my feet up on the coffee table. As I did so, water spurted up through the seams, soaked my socks. But soaked socks, damp tush, I don't care. I'm watching TV. It's when I reached for the television remote control. My whole world changed. Because earlier in the day, yes, the TV had been a cascading waterfall. But now it just looked like a TV with some dried water streaks on it. The remote control looked like a remote control. I start pressing some buttons. As I did so, water droplets the size of chiclets start popping up. But the TV turned on. The TV turned on. It was a miracle, like of burning bush proportions. I just knew that everything was going to be okay. I could have even guaranteed you that some Real Housewives from somewhere were going to be on. Like, it's all going to be good now. So everything was fine until that television began to snap and crackle and pop and make sounds I had never known a TV to make. And then it froze up and it went completely black. And that's when it hit me. That's when the clarity came. And I realized, oh, I don't live here anymore. This place that I have lived in, my home, that I raised my baby in, this whole thing, this whole time, it's over. I gotta go. I gotta go. That's when the clarity came in. I finally got it. But it is not enough to get the clarity. We have to have a spiritual infrastructure in place that's going to hold us up in the rough times and be that platform to fly from in the times when you're ready to really take off in your life. So it's the spiritual infrastructure is all of the things that you already know. It's the making sure that already you're drinking lots of fresh, pure, clear, clean water. It's making sure that you're eating foods that are filled with life force, vitality, energy. It's meditation that we had so beautifully today. It's prayer. And the key here is that it's also getting to the source of your spiritual good. One of the keys in building a strong spiritual infrastructure is getting to the source of your spiritual good. You know, people who are in fellowship, they live longer, they're healthier, and they have more joy-filled lives. But what I wanted to share with you, so the source of your spiritual good can be so many things. It can be getting to the lake, the mountains, the oceans, the beaches, the deserts, time with a sacred friend. And it is also absolutely getting to your spiritual center, right? The source of the place that feeds you most spiritually. But what happened for me after the flood is that I actually found it challenging to get to my home spiritual center, which is the Agape International Spiritual Center in Los Angeles with Reverend Michael Beckwith as the director. And I work there, and I live there, and I am loved there, but I found it hard to get there because I was going through something. Even though I looked fine from the outside, I felt shattered inside. All of my possessions had been taken away. I'd been removed from my home in one day. I felt like when I was walking around outside, I felt like I needed to walk around with a big sign hanging around my back, on my front, like, do not approach, man down, human being going through something. You know, I needed to let people know I was in it. I've heard that they're coming out with car emojis where, you know, you could let somebody pass you on a freeway and they could have a great big heart pop on their back windshield and it'd be like, love ya, as they speed away, you know. I felt like I needed to function with emojis on. My emoji would be like, do not approach, back away, do not approach. But if I did that, I'd need to have another set of emojis. And they would be, oh, please, dear God, come closer. I need a friend. I need some help. I'm in it right now. And I had these dueling sides of myself, but what happened was I was aware of my go-to response. My go-to response, if you remember, I'm in a ball over here hiding out from the world. That's how I handle a challenge initially. And I let myself have that for a little bit. But eventually I had to pick up my go-to and go someplace else with it. I had to say, all right, come on, sweetheart. Come on, baby. We got to get you back out in the world. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. And because I did that, because I got to the source of my spiritual good and I leaned in, the miraculous occurred. I was sitting right where you are one Sunday. Reverend Michael's up on the stage. He's doing his thing, and I felt something. That's the miraculous. I had felt cold and numb and frozen inside for weeks and weeks, and then all of a sudden I felt something. The slightest bit of something, the faintest bit of something, like a damp match that gets struck, and you know how the tip turns the faintest bit orange? And it definitely could just peter out, but it could get set ablaze. And I didn't know which it was for me. I would imagine that some of you are having that feeling right now, that feeling of just hanging on by a thread. All I could think was, when I saw that little damp match, when I felt like that, all I could think was, not dead yet. Not dead yet. I thought it was all over. But that little blaze, that little spark, that little desire was right there. That's who you are. That's what you're made of. There is something about you, no matter who you are, where you have been, what you have been through, that is undeniable, unquenchable. Your spirit is renewable no matter what you've been through. Isn't that extraordinary about us? Isn't that exceptional about us? Right? There is something about us, and because I was able to get myself back in the game, because I was able to get myself back to my home spiritual center, the extraordinary happened. So then, because I had been turning down speaking opportunities left, right, and center because I felt like I had no more voice, I was watching my sweet little book sales completely dry up. But then I felt something, that faintest bit of something. And it was enough to get me back into my spiritual center. And then when new speaking opportunities came up, I was able to say, yes, thank you. My book, What's Your What, started selling again. It hasn't even been a year, and it's in its second printing. But more than that, we were able to attract testimonials from folks like Don Miguel Ruiz, Jan Levan Zandt, Michael Bernard Beckwith. And you want to know why that is? It's because I took the time to do these little steps, these little exercises to uncover who I am. I wrote this thing because I was mush. I wrote this sweet book because I was general. I was kind of good at a lot of things. And I took 5 years to figure out, how can I hone the facet of the diamond that I am? What are the exercises? What are the practices? What are the tools to uncover who my authentic self is, who I am really. And the more I uncovered, the more I did the work, the more I got clear about the facet of diamond that I'm here to shine as, the more fierce my true self became, the more radiant my true self became. And then, of course, we began to attract people, places, circumstances, and events that matched me at like level. That's how this works. Do you understand that? When you get so clear about who you are, all of a sudden these coincidences happen. These synchronicities happen. That's how this life works. So, a couple of months ago, I was tucking my child into bed, in his new bedroom, in our new house. We never did go back to the old place. We're creating a new home. And as I was tucking my child into bed, he let out this great big sigh. And he went, whew, I just wasn't ready for that flood. And all I could think was, oh, buddy, neither was I. But isn't that the truest thing? How many times in your life have you felt like you were just not ready for whatever it was that was coming down the pike? Wasn't ready for him to go, wasn't ready for her to leave, wasn't ready for a diagnosis, wasn't ready for a new job, wasn't ready for added responsibilities, for the new baby, for the increased funds, whatever it is, wasn't ready. But some part of you is. Some part of you is. It's the part of you that got here today. There's so many other things you could be doing, but you made it. And you got all of it. You got a meditation, you got prayer, you got Reverend Patty's words, you got Darlene's gorgeous voice, and you'll get more of it. You got to talk, you got the little knocks at the door. You got it all. You know what that part is of you? It's that damp match. Boom, just got struck. And it is all on you. It is 100% on you. You get to decide, am I going to fan that thing? Will I fan it with my loving? Will I fan it with my kindness? Will I fan it by taking such good care of my physical body self? Will I fan it and fan it and fan it until it ignites into a full-on bonfire of creativity? Will I fan it until it ignites into a full-on bonfire of joy and love and prosperity? Do you want that? Are you willing to do that? Yes? Yes? Can I tell you, do you have any idea how needed you are in this world? Please just take one look, or don't, at the political climate right now. Do you know how much your sane voice, your clarity, your compassion, your wisdom is needed? My prayer is that you do whatever the heck it takes to figure out what your what is, who your true authentic self is, and then please, dear God, take it out into the world and share it and shine it. Yes? Many blessings to you. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.